Recently I did a video where I did a prediction on where Scarlet and Violet era sets right now would be in the next 3 to 5 years if you were to buy them now and invest in them. Of course, it is just a wild guess because who knows what would happen with these sets, but it's always quite fun to kind of have a little guess and have a little bit of little play and see where these booster boxes and ETBs will lie for all these different Scarlet and Violet era sets. But today we're going through Sword and Shield. Of course, we've seen Sword and Shield boom like crazy, but not everything has boomed, of course, but a lot of them have. So today we're going through all of the Sword and Shield era sets, including the holiday sets, and seeing where they'll be in the next 3 to 5 years. Of course, this is just speculation. Who knows? I'm probably going to be completely wrong, but it's a bit of fun anyway. Let's jump in. Right, we've got the different tiers today. We got over $1,000, $500 to $1,000, $300 to $500, $200 to $300, and less than $200. Now, it's going to be really interesting to see. Now, we're just going to have a kind of use the data that we have of these sets and kind of compare to the previous era, which would be the Sun and Moon, and try and give an idea of where these sets will be in the next 3 to 5 years. Now, a lot of these, or pretty much all of these now, are out of print. So it's going to be really interesting to see where they will lie in the future. So we're starting things off with Sword and Shield base set. Now, Sword and Shield base is already $300. So already we're looking at that 2 to 300 range straight off the bat, right? And we're going to be seeing a lot of that with a lot of these sets. They're going to already start quite high up on this list. Where would it be in the next 2 to 3 years? I do feel like it is a really poor base set. I feel like it's had a really big boom already. You know, this set has been out, what, 4 years? So it's been out quite a while. So where do I think it will be? I think it will continue to climb. So because it's already $300 in the next 3 to 5 years, I think it will continue to trickle upwards ever so slowly. So I do feel like it will, you know, break $300 and go in the $300 to $500 range, which kind of makes sense. I don't feel like it's going to be a set that's going to boom like crazy because it already has pretty much boomed, but it'll be interesting to see where it'll be in the future. Next, we got Rebel Clash. This is a terrible set. But it's doing relatively well. It's about $215 on TCG Player right now. So we're looking at that 2 to 300 range. I'm going to probably stick in the 2 to 300. It is a very, very poor set. I just don't see it going crazy. I mean, it's already done pretty well, right? If you bought this at MSRP, or even for less than MSRP, if you bought it at market price, you're doing relatively well. Don't forget MSRP was like 140, 145. So already you would have made a pretty nice little gain there. But if you bought it when it came out at, you know, 90 or so a box, then you're doing very well. And, you know, it being about $200 already, I don't see it dropping below 200 in the next 3 to 5 years. I expect it to go up, but it is one of the weaker ones. I don't really see it has much room to grow. If we go back and we look at Sun and Moon, we kind of compare to the previous era, you could argue that this is on the same level as like a Crimson Invasion or Guardians Rising, where it's not going to do very well. That's the way I would put it. Then we have Darts Ablaze. Darts Ablaze, arguably one of the worst Sword and Shield era sets. You could even say that it's worse than Rebel Clash. It's about $150 a box at the moment. It is actually on the climb. Not by much, but it has gone up from around $135 to $150 in the past 3 months. So it has actually started to trickle upwards, which is great news, right? It is great news. Where would it be in the next 3 to 5 years? I mean, I do feel like it's one of the worst sets. Is it going to gain $50 in value in the next 5 years? I think it will. I do genuinely think it will. I think we're looking at the bottom. I think it'll be less than Rebel Clash, but I do feel like it's kind of at that level where it would be towards the bottom end of 200, not near the 300 end. But I do feel like Darts Ablaze has that room to grow and will continue to grow just ever so slightly year on year. I mean, it's got to get $50, right, in 5 years. It's got to gain $10 in value over each year of the next 5 years. I think it has that in it to at least get to 200. But you never know, it might not. Then we have Champions Path. We're getting into now some of the holiday sets. Champions Path is, in my opinion, a really hit and miss set, right? It's either the 2 big Charizards or bust. It really is a brutal, brutal set. You look around $100 already for the ETB, which is very good, but it hasn't really moved much over the past year or really for a while. Now, of course, it's gone up since its release, but it hasn't really done much, and I do feel like it's going to be one of the first ones to go into that less than 200. It just hasn't showed that growth as we've seen from Hidden Fates, for example, from Sun and Moon. Hidden Fates has done very, very well. And if you look at stuff like Shining Legends, has done incredibly well. Champion's Path is not on that level. It really isn't. Then we have Vivid Voltage Chonkachi, of course. Now, Vivid Voltage, I actually think is a better set than Dazzle Blaze, but the sealed product of Vivid Voltage hasn't gone up like Dazzle Blaze has. Vivid Voltage booster box is around 135 compared to the 150 of Darkness, and Dazzle Blaze is on the rise. It's quite interesting, right? I kind of felt like Vivid Voltage would do a lot better than it currently is doing, right? Rainbow Chonkachi, a very iconic card, big chase card. You could say it's like the Burning Shadows Charizard of the Sword and Shield set, if you go in the terms of rainbow chases. I think that's a pretty accurate one, right? Burning Shadow, we've seen, not really the strongest set. It's a hit or miss regarding if you pull the Charizard or not. It's a terrible set otherwise. So for me, I think Vivid Voyage has that potential, and I do feel like eventually it will go above Dazzle Blaze. Could it go above Rebel Clash? I would say so. I think all of these could potentially be in the next 3 to 5 years at the bottom end of the $200. I do think they'll be at the bottom end of the $200. I just don't see them being in the 300 plus. I really don't. But you never know. We saw, Sun and Moon boom last year. Anything can happen. Then we have Shining Fates. Now, Hidden Fates is incredible. We're looking at Hidden Fates being, 160, 170 in ETB. I talked about Palladium Fates being a very, very good set. And I think Palladium Fates is way better than Shining Fates. I mean, I absolutely love Shining Fates, but this set has been reprinted into the absolute oblivion. And apart from the Shiny Charizard VMAX, this set has nothing really going for it, which is kind of rough. I think it's going to be worse than Champion's Path. At least with Champion's Path, you've got 2 Charizards rather than just 1. And those Charizards' values are way higher than the Shiny Charizard VMAX. Even though I love Shining Fates, I've got to be honest, it's not very good. Then we go into Battle Stars. Now, we start to see a lot of these booster boxes we're going to go through now already on the rise because they contain alt arts, and they've already had their big booms already, but will they continue to boom? Will they continue to climb over the next 3 to 5 years? Battle Stars is one of, arguably one of the worst sets in the era, but because it has alt arts like the Sleeping Tyranitar and some others, a lot of people now start to appreciate Battle Stars a little bit more, especially if it's at the cheaper end of all the rest of these sets. Now we've started to see, booster boxes be around 130, so they are on the rise. They've gone from about 100 to 130 over the past 6 months, which is very, very good. Where will it end? Will it end a lot higher than some of these others? I definitely think it will breach $200, in the next 3 to 5 years. I think it might even break $200 within the next 12 months. That's how I think Battle Stars will go. Can it break into $300? I don't think it will. I think it's going to be sat in the 200 to 300 range, but it's whether or not will I see Battle Stars overtake sets like Vivid Voyage and Dazzle Blaze. Now, it's cheaper than those sets, of course, but I think it's got so much more room to grow, and especially it has alt arts in the set and a big alt art chase already. I think a lot of people are going to be after Battle Stars as the cheaper alternative to an alt art set to pick up, just because the booster boxes are so cheap right now compared to the others. So for me, I think Battle Stars is definitely going to be in the $200 to $300 range, but definitely a bit higher up than some of the others like Vivid Voyage and Dazzle Blaze and Rebel Clash. Moving on, we have Chilling Rain, Chilling Pain. Tough set, in my opinion, one of the best sets in the era, just because of the amazing artwork that's in this set. So we've already seen Chilling Rain booster boxes break the $200 mark, so we're already in the $200 to $300 range, and it has a Blaziken that's like over $300. It has the second most amount of alt arts in the Sword and Shield era, and all the card prices, especially the top end cards, are all climbing. We've seen the Legendary Birds climb, we've seen Zorora climb, Shadow Rider Calyrex, we've seen all these big alt arts starting to shift upwards, and having a chase card that's over $300 in the Blaziken, and we know how tough that is to pull, that's going to really drive the set even more in the future. Where would it lie though in the next 3 to 5 years? Now, I actually think Chilling Rain is one of the top sets. If we look at the Sun and Moon era, in my opinion, I think that Chilling Rain is going to be on the lines of the equivalent of some of the alt art era sets that we've seen in the Sun and Moon era. When we talk about things like Cosmic Eclipse, Unbroken Bonds, Unified Minds, like those type of level sets, in my opinion, is where I picture Chilling Rain to be in the next 3 to 5 years. The question is, will it break $500 in 3 to 5 years. It's already over 200. It's climbed from, you know, that 130, 140 to 230 in like 6 months. So it's done incredibly well. It's already gained like $100 in value in the past 6 months. It is starting to cool off a bit. I think it will continue to climb once we get into the end of the year, moving into 2025. So in the next 5 years, we had to push it all the way out right till in 5 years' time. Do I think they would break $500? Now, if we compare it, like I say, to the Sun and Moon era, a lot of those sets that I just talked about are like $600, $700, $800 plus dollars. So in my opinion, Chill and Rain, you're going into the 500,000. I do genuinely think it's going to be one of these sets that will get there. I think it will. If we had to go right to the maximum of 5 years, so we're talking about, you know, this time in 2029, I think we could see Chill and Rain maybe the bottom end of that, 500 to 1,000. But yeah, I think it'll break 500. Then we've got Evolving Skies. Well, look, Evolving Skies has already broke the 500 to 1,000 range. It's already in there already. We've seen booster boxes go for anywhere between 650 to 700 a box. Where would it be in the next 5 years? I'm just going to do it right now. It's going to be over 1,000 a box in the next 5 years. It just is, right? This set is, I wouldn't say it's the next Team Up, because Team Up is very unique in the fact that it was very, very short printed. Evolving Skies wasn't short printed. There was a lot of Evolving Skies around. It is cooling off a bit, which is fine, but again, I think similar to Chill and Rain, which we start getting into the new year, we could start seeing booster boxes rise. And look, it hasn't got that much more to go for it to reach over 1,000. It really doesn't. So I do feel like Evolving Skies will get there. Then we have Fusion Strike. Now we've seen Fusion Strike shoot all the way up to like 250 a box. It has dropped a little bit since. It's kind of about the same as Chill and Rain right now. I think Fusion Strike is definitely a set where people are, you know, really going in on. And it's because you've got obviously the Gengar and the Espeon, which are carrying the set. On top of that, it's had a lot of, I wouldn't say controversy, but it's had a lot of issues with the set, with the whole, like, all the big hits being stolen and stuff like that. I think that will have an impact on where these big money cards are within this set, and I do think it is going to be quite tough, of course, with the really tough pull rates that the set already has. But I do feel like it's a really, really good one, of course. But where will it be? Will it be better than Chill and Rain? Will it be about the same as Chill and Rain? I think Chill and Rain, in my opinion, is a much stronger set than Fusion Strike. I just think it is. I just think it has much bigger chase cards in it, much more chase cards in it. We'll just have to wait and see. But I think Fusion Strike and Chill and Rain are going to be over 500. I think so. In the next 5 years, we have to push out to 2029. I think 5 years, Fusion Strike could be about 500 plus a box. But it's doing very well. Then we've got Brilliant Stars. Now, I've always raved about Brilliant Stars. I always felt like Brilliant Stars, in my opinion, was top 3 set of the era for the longest time. It's kind of fallen out of favour a little bit. Of course, you've got the Art Charizard, you've got the Legendary Birds, you've got the very strong trainer gallery in the Evolutions as well. Now, Brilliant Stars has always been at least somewhat expensive booster box, right? Compared to when all the others were around that 110, 120, Brilliant Stars was just at 140, just for the longest time. And now it's starting to go up, and it's about like 180 a box. So, you know, it recently went out of stock, somewhat recently, in the Pokemon Center. So it's one of the reasons why it started to climb. I think Brilliant Stars is yet to really shine. And I think it's a very good set. It is. To have a set stacked with that many Charizards, Evolutions, and Legendary Birds, big fan favorites. For me, I think it will sit in the $300 to $500 range. I think it'll be more than Sword and Shield base. I think it will do very well. I do think it will break $300. I don't think it will break $500. But I do see it being in that $300 to $500 range. Of course, it could be towards the bottom end of that, or it could be somewhere in the middle or the top, but I think between that range is probably about right. Astral Radiance. I think Astral Radiance is one which doesn't get as much love as it should. I think it's got a beautiful, stunning artwork across the board. The Machamp is a big chase card, good, strong trainer gallery, amazing alt arts, but not hugely valuable alt arts. Apart from the Machamp, the set really hasn't got a huge amount else going for it. Of course, you've got the Starmie from the trainer gallery, which will help it as well. And Astral Radiance at the moment is cheaper than it is compared to some of the other sets. It's about the same as Brilliant Stars. Over here in the UK though, Astral Radiance is a lot cheaper. I don't think it's going to be as strong performer as Brilliant Stars, but I do think I'll put it in the $300 to $500 range. I do feel like it's going to do better than Sword and Shield, and I think it'll do better than Some of the other sets as well, like Battle Stars and stuff, is definitely better, but I do think it is weaker than Brilliant. Then we've got Pokemon Go. I mean, clearly that's going to be $1,000, right? I mean, it's Pokemon Go. Then we've got Pokemon Go ETB. I mean, this is going to be worse than Shining Fates, in my opinion. I think everybody hates Pokemon Go. Is one of the most disliked sets of the era. It is trash. It just, in my opinion, came out way too late. I think it's a cool set, but in my opinion, it should have came out when Pokemon Go came out, which was back in, what, 2016? Yeah, way too late for Pokemon Go. There are some really cool arts in the set and cool artwork on the rainbows, but yeah, it's just not the one. It really isn't. Lost Origin, already doing very well. There's a lots of hype around the Giratina and the Aerodactyl, of course. Some other OKO arts, not a huge amount in the set. It's got a pretty decent trainer gallery, but not that great. It's mainly just the power of the Giratina that's really pushing this set. So already we're seeing about $200 a booster box for Lost Origin. Over here in the UK, it's even more expensive. It's a lot harder to get hold of Lost Origin here. So for me, I feel like Lost Origin already has proven to be a very strong performing set. And you could say that it could be as good as Chill Rain and Fusion. I kind of don't want to put it in the 500 to 1,000. It sounds strange, but I'm actually going to probably put it like here. At the top end of the 300 to 500. I just don't see it being on the same level as Chill Rain and Fusion. I really don't. Yes, the Giratina is great. Yes, the Aerodactyl is great. But there's just something about those earlier sets that are just insanely good right now. And it'll be interesting to see. Of course, those two booster boxes are older. Chill Rain and Fusion Strike. But I do feel like they will outperform Lost Origin. I do still feel Lost Origin will do very well. You could argue that it could break 500 in the next 5 years, but we'll have to wait and see. Then we move on to Silver Tempest. Silver Tempest is again a very good set. You've got the big Lugia chase. Outside of the Lugia though, the set's really poor. I mean, you've got the Rayquaza from the Trainer Gallery, but if I'm being honest, the rest of the set is very underwhelming, which is its downfall. And of course, it's one of the most recent ones, so it's still got room to grow. But I think it will do... I still think it will break 300, but I do feel like it is kind of below Astral Radiance. It's definitely better than Battle Stars, but I do feel like it is a overall weaker set than some of the others. I think it's kind of towards that bottom end. And then we got Crown Zenith. Of course, it's an ETB. If it was a booster box set, it would go a lot higher on this list, just because Crown Zenith is absolutely crazy. You've got big money chase cards in the V-Stars. The pull rates of this set make it so much fun to open, but it is a holiday set, so I would put it less than 200, but I think it will overtake Champion's Path. I think Champion's Path is $100 right now. Crown Zenith is only like 50, so it's got a lot more room to grow, but I just don't see an ETB breaking 200, just because you do have the Pokemon Center version, which I think will break 200, but just the normal version, I think it will be less than 200. And then we have Celebrations. I nearly forgot about Celebrations. Completely forgot about Celebrations. Celebrations ETB, we're just looking at the normal ETB today. I would say the UPC is a very good one. I think the UPC could probably sit in between that $300 to $500 range. I just don't see it going absolutely crazy. I think when the 30th anniversary product drops, we'll start to see Celebration products start to rise. Of course, we're not looking at Generations level where it's like super expensive, but I do expect to see them rise. So right now Celebrations isn't doing that great, but I do see it having potential. Now there is a Pokemon Center version of this, and of course you have the Ultra Premium version of this. I just don't see it doing that well. So it's going to be less than 200, but I think it will perform better than Crown Zenith. I think like I said, when the 30th anniversary drops, I think Celebrations will go up, but we'll have to wait and see. I do think it will be less than 200, because of course you got the Pokemon Center version, which will probably be more than 200. The UPC is already towards the $300 range, so you could be looking at the UPC being at that 300 to 500, and then of course you have the normal ETB, which I think will struggle to break $200. But that's how I'd rank them. Holiday sets are always at the bottom most of the time, mainly because ETBs are naturally just cheaper. Whereas when we come to booster boxes, Evolving Skies is top dog, with Chill Rain and Fusion Strike being close behind it. Then you could argue Lost Origin could be in the 500 to 1,000 range as well, but only time will tell. But that's how I rank these guys. But it'd be really interesting to see what you guys think. Of course, this is just complete speculation. Who knows what will happen in the next 3 to 5 years? They could all boom and go crazy, or they could all drop. Who knows? but this is where I think things will lie moving forward. There you have it. That's where I rank the Sword and Shield era sets in the next 3 to 5 years. Of course, Evolving Skies will be top dog, and I think Fusion Strike and Chilling Reign will do very well. And again, you could argue that Lost Origin, Brilliant Stars are going to do very well as well. But yeah, I mean, I think Dance of Blaze is going to be the weakest booster box out of the whole era, followed by Rebel Clash and Vivid Voltage. And I think Battle Stars, you could look at $200 to $300 a box in the next 5 years. And then, a lot of these other, alt art sets are going to be up in that $300 to $500 range, which I think is going to be very, very good and pretty impressive, to be honest. So, right now, a lot of the booster boxes are kind of cooling off a little bit. I do expect them to continue to climb once again when we go into 2025. Whether or not they'll get another boom, kind of like what Sun and Moon era booster boxes got, a lot of them were trickling up pretty steady. I remember picking up Unified Minds booster boxes like 2 years ago for $250 to $300 a box, and then now they're over $600. So yeah, it's going to be pretty insane to see where these sets will lie, but I think Sword and Shield has a lot of room to grow. If you made this far to the video and you've enjoyed it, make sure to smash the like button and make sure to subscribe for more Pokemon content, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Do you agree with me? Where would you swap these around? It'd be really interesting to see your guys' thoughts. But if you want to know how I did the Scarlet and Violet era, then make sure to click the video on the screen. That's it from me, guys, in today's video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, you guys are legends, and I'll see you in the next one.